The galaxy was wide and bright, but it was not kind across thousands of worlds. Laws were strong and borders were clear, but mercy was rare on the edge of a forgotten desert planet. Far from trade routes and shining cities, there stood a refugee camp that no one talked about. It was a place the galaxy wanted to forget. The ground was dry and cracked, the air was thin, and the sun burned without care. Inside the camp lived children, alien children. They were small, quiet, and thin, with skin, colors that did not match any single species. Some had large dark eyes, some had soft glowing skin, some had ears shaped in strange ways. They were mixed blood, children of fallen worlds and broken wars. No empire claimed them, no species wanted them. To the Galactic Council, they were labeled with cold words: non-essential life, low survival value. Aid ships passed over the camp every month, but they never landed. The children learned early not to wave, not to hope. They watched the sky in silence as ships came and went. Adults in the camp warned them, do not look up too long, it only hurts more. The children slept in thin tents made of old fabric and metal scraps. At night, the desert wind moved through the camp like a whisper, carrying sand and fear. Some children cried softly, most did not cry at all. They had learned that tears changed nothing. The galaxy had decided their future without ever knowing their names. One morning, the camp guards noticed something strange on their scanners. A ship was approaching, slow, small, and alone. It did not match any known fleet code. It carried no Empire signal. The guards laughed. Probably a broken trader, they said. He will turn back when he sees this place. But the ship did not turn back. It descended through the thin clouds and landed outside the camp, sending dust into the air. The children watched from behind torn tent walls, their eyes wide and careful. Visitors never came here. Not like this. The ship was old, scratched, and quiet. No weapons extended. No soldiers marched out. The hatch opened slowly. A single human stepped down onto the sand. He was tall, wearing a dark jacket and boots covered in dust. His face looked tired, but his eyes were calm. Some of the older aliens whispered in fear. A human? What is a human doing here? Humans were known across the galaxy. They were fighters, survivors, rule breakers, but they did not come to camps like this. The human looked around. He did not smile. He did not turn away. His eyes moved from tent to tent, from broken shelters to thin faces watching him. Then he saw the children. The youngest one stepped back, hiding behind older kids. The human slowly walked forward, raising his empty hands. He knelt down in the sand so he would not look so big. The guards told him to leave. This camp is closed, they said. There is nothing here for you. The human did not answer them. He looked at the children again. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the human took a small food pack from his jacket and placed it gently on the ground. The children did not move. Food often came with conditions, with pain. The human pushed the pack closer and stepped back. You can eat, he said softly. I am not here to take anything. That moment changed something small, but important. One child stepped forward, then another. The human stayed where he was, silent and patient. High above the camp, unseen by everyone, a small galactic observer drone adjusted its position. It had noticed the human ship. It had noticed the children, and now it was watching. Because helping unregistered alien children was against the law. And the galaxy never ignored humans who broke its rules. Asterisk, the human did not leave the camp that day. When the sun moved lower in the sky, he was still there, sitting on a broken crate near the tents. The guards grew nervous because visitors never stayed this long. The children watched him from a distance, unsure if this calm was real or just another trick. The human's name was Ethan Hawley. He did not announce it. He did not demand attention. He fixed a broken water pipe using simple tools from his ship. Clean water flowed again, and no one could remember the last time that happened. Some adults stared in shock. Others turned away, afraid that hope would only bring pain later. The children noticed everything. They noticed how Ethan spoke slowly, how he listened more than he talked, how he never raised his voice when night came. Ethan did not return to his ship. He sat near a small fire and ate plain ration bars, just like the children did, one of the older kids. A thin alien girl with pale blue skin finally spoke. "Why are you here?" she asked. Her voice quiet but sharp. Ethan looked at her and answered honestly. "Because I saw you," he said. The words were simple, but they hit harder than any promise. No one had ever said that before. The next morning, a warning signal echoed through the camp, a metallic sound that made everyone freeze. A galactic observer drone floated above the tents, its red lens scanning slowly. The guards stiffened. The adults whispered in fear. Everyone knew what that drone meant. It meant reports. It meant judgment. It meant punishment. Ethan stood calmly and stepped into the open. The drone scanned him and spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. "Human citizen identified. Unauthorized presence confirmed. Explain your actions." Ethan did not argue. "These children need help," he said. "They are alive. They matter." The drone paused, processing his words. "According to galactic law, mixed species. Minors without registered worlds are classified as temporary biological remnants." The drone replied, "Aid is inefficient. Emotional attachment is discouraged." The children listened from behind the tents, their small hands shaking. They had heard words like this before. Ethan's voice did not change. "Then your law is wrong," he said. A sharp silence followed. The drone transmitted data to the Galactic Council, images of Ethan, images of the children. Far away, powerful beings watched the feed with interest and concern. Human interfering in classification protocol was not common. Back in the camp, Ethan began doing something no one expected. He started teaching. He showed the kids how to read simple symbols, how to count using stones, how to repair broken lights. The children learned fast, faster than the record said they should. They worked together naturally, sharing skills between species without fear. One child could hear distant vibrations, another could see patterns in energy flow. Ethan noticed. The drone noticed too. At night, the kids gathered around Ethan, listening as he told them stories. Stories about Earth, about oceans, about cities that welcomed strangers. The children asked one question again and again. "Why do you stay?" Ethan answered the same way every time. "Because family does not leave." The word family spread through the camp like fire. Some adults felt anger. Some felt hope. Most felt fear. The council sent a second message, more direct than the first. "Human Ethan Hawley, your actions are being monitored. Further involvement will lead to consequences." Ethan looked at the message and turned it off. The children watched him closely, waiting for fear, but fear did not come. Instead, Ethan smiled softly and said something that stayed with them forever. "They can watch," he said, "but they cannot make me stop caring above them." The drone adjusted its position again. It was no longer just observing, it was preparing a full report. Because the galaxy was beginning to realize something dangerous. The alien children were not weak, and the human who stood with them was not backing down. Asterisk. The change did not happen loudly. It happened in small moments that most of the galaxy would never notice. After Ethan stayed, the camp no longer felt completely silent. The children began to wake earlier, not from fear, but from purpose. They cleaned the space between tents. They repaired broken panels. They shared tasks without being told. Ethan watched closely. He realized something important. These children were not broken. They were unused. One morning, Ethan drew simple shapes in the sand. He asked the children to copy them. What happened next surprised even him. One child improved the pattern. Another corrected an error before Ethan noticed it. A third connected the shapes into something new. Ethan felt a slow weight in his chest. They are learning too fast, he thought. High above the camp, the observer drone recorded everything. Its data storage filled faster than expected. Patterns began forming. Adaptation rates exceeded projections. Cross-species cooperation reached rare Levels far away, inside the cold halls of the Galactic Council. Concern replaced curiosity. Humans were dangerous enough on their own. Humans teaching alien children was something else entirely. A council member spoke, her voice sharp, if humans. "Raise them," she said. "They will not think like us." Back at the camp, the children faced a test of fear. A supply ship landed nearby, not to help, but to inspect. The officers moved through the camp with scanners and stiff expressions. The children froze. Old memories returning fast, one officer pointed at a small alien boy and spoke loudly. "This one is unregistered. He should be relocated." The word relocation made the children step back. They knew what it meant. Ethan moved forward without shouting. "They are under my care," he said. The officer laughed. "Humans cannot claim alien minors. That law does not exist." "Then make it exist," Ethan replied calmly. The officer reported the incident immediately. That same night, the children could not sleep. They whispered fears into the dark. "Will they take us? Will you leave?" Ethan sat with them until dawn. He did not promise safety. He promised truth. "I cannot control the galaxy," he said, "but I will not walk away." That promise mattered more than protection. The next day, a disaster struck the nearby trade route. Navigation beacons failed without warning. Ships drifted blind. Collisions increased. The council panicked. No system fix worked. No advanced AI found the cause. Asterisk. Back at the camp, one of the children noticed something strange. The energy failures followed a rhythm, a repeating pulse hidden inside the chaos. Ethan listened as the kids explained using stones and lines in the dirt. They saw what the machines missed together. They built a simple signal adjustment using scrap parts. Ethan transmitted it, not expecting much. Within minutes, ships stabilized. The trade route reopened. Lives were saved. The council stared at the data in disbelief. The solution came from a refugee camp, from alien children, guided by a human. Shock turned into fear. If these children could do this now, what would they become later? A final decision was made behind closed doors. The children would be removed. The human would be stopped. Orders were sent. Ships prepared. At the camp, the observer drone lowered itself closer than ever before. Its voice sounded different, slower. "Human Ethan Hale, your influence has exceeded acceptable limits." Ethan looked at the children standing behind him. He placed one hand on the ground and answered quietly, "Then your limits are too small." The drone transmitted the final alert. Intervention authorized. Above the planet, engines ignited. And for the first time, the children looked at the sky not with hope, but with fear. Asterisk. The ships arrived before sunrise. Their shadows crossed the desert like long dark blades. The children woke to the sound of engines shaking the ground. Fear returned fast, the kind that lives deep and old. Ethan stood outside his tent and counted the ships. Too many for a warning, too many for peace. Council enforcement vessels circled the camp, clean and sharp against the pale sky. The observer drone hovered low, its lens glowing bright. Galactic Authority has arrived, it announced. Remain still, remain compliant. The adults in the camp stepped back. They had seen this before on other worlds. Compliance meant survival. Resistance meant erasure. The children moved closer to Ethan without thinking. Small hands gripped his jacket. Thin bodies pressed against his legs. Ethan felt the weight of that trust. He did not step away. Council officers marched forward in silver armor. Their leader spoke with practiced calm. "Human Ethan Hall, you are ordered to stand aside. The miners will be relocated immediately." Ethan answered slowly, "They are not cargo. They are children." The officer's eyes narrowed. Emotion does not change law. Ethan looked at the children, then back at the officer. "Then law should learn," he said. The officer raised a hand. Restraint units activated. The children gasped as energy fields flickered to life. One child cried out, another froze in silence. Before the fields could close, something unexpected happened. The camp lights turned on. Every broken panel Ethan helped fix began to glow. The children moved together without fear. One adjusted power flow, another stabilized the signal. A third redirected excess energy. The officers stepped back in shock. The systems responded to the children, not to command codes. The observer drone struggled to keep up with the data spike. Adaptive coordination confirmed. It reported. Human-assisted development verified. Across the galaxy, the council chamber erupted in argument. They are evolving. One member shouted, "This was never approved." Another replied. Ethan did not smile. He simply watched the children work. They were calm, focused, connected. The energy fields failed. The officers lost control of their own equipment. For the first time, council forces retreated. Not because of weapons, but because of understanding. The camp stood silent as the ships pulled back. Dust settled slowly. The children looked up at Ethan, eyes full of questions. "Are we in trouble?" one asked. Ethan knelt to their level. "Yes," he said honestly, "but not alone." That moment spread beyond the camp. The observer drone's feed leaked across human space. People saw the footage. They saw alien children protecting each other. They saw a human standing between law and fear. Comments flooded networks. Why are they treating kids like threats? Why is one human doing what the galaxy will not? Human leaders demanded answers. Civilian ships changed course, not warships, transport. Ships, medical ships, back at the camp. The council sent a final message. Human Ethan Hawley, you have crossed a boundary. Ethan responded with a simple transmission. So did you, above the planet. New signals appeared on scanners. Human vessels, unarmed. Broadcasting open channels. "We are coming," the message said. Not to fight, but to stand. The council ships hesitated. They had prepared for resistance, not unity. The children watched the sky fill with lights. For the first time, they did not feel small. They felt seen. Ethan placed a hand on the ground and spoke quietly. "This is what family looks like." The observer drone recorded everything. And for the first time in its long service, it did not send a warning, it sent a question. What if the human is right? Asterisk, the standoff did not break with weapons, it broke with voices, across human space. The leaked footage spread faster than any official message. People watched alien children standing together. Small, thin, afraid, but unbroken. They watched a single human refuse to step aside. Questions followed, then anger. Why are children being hunted? Why does one human care more than the galaxy, human? News channels replayed the images again and again. Experts argued, politicians hesitated, but ordinary people decided first. Civilian ships changed course without orders. Medical vessels loaded supplies. Education transports cleared space. Family ships prepared living quarters. They did not carry weapons, they carried blankets, food, and open doors. Near the camp, council ships tightened their formation. They expected an attack instead. Human ships arrived broadcasting clear messages. "We come as witnesses, we come as guardians." The council commander opened a channel to Ethan. "You are causing instability," he said. "Withdraw and this ends." Ethan looked around at the children gathered near him. "Stability that hurts children is not peace," he replied. The commander hesitated. Human ships continued to arrive, not hundreds, but enough. Each one carried families willing to take responsibility, on the ground. The children watched strangers step out of human vessels. Some were old, some were young. All of them knelt down. They introduced themselves slowly. "We are not here to take you," one woman said. "We are here to ask." The children did not answer at first. Choice was new. Choice was scary. One child finally spoke. "Can we stay together?" The human woman smiled, tears in her eyes. "Yes," she said. "Family grows. It does not divide." The council chamber erupted again. This was never part of the system. One member shouted, "They are rewriting protocol in real time," another said. Data analysts delivered an uncomfortable truth. Human. Public approval was rising. Council credibility was falling. The observer drone submitted its final report. Human behavior indicates long-term stability through emotional bonds. Removal of children may result in widespread resistance. The word resistance carried weight. The council had faced wars, but not this. Back at the camp, council officers lowered their weapons. Their orders had not changed, but the world had. Ethan stood quietly as humans and alien children spoke in soft voices. No speeches, no commands, just listening. A council representative approached Ethan slowly. "Your species does not understand containment," she said. Ethan nodded. "No," he said. "We understand responsibility." The representative looked at the children. "They are already different," she admitted. Ethan answered without pride, "Because they were never." The problem, silence followed. Council ships began to pull back, one by one, not defeated but uncertain. The children watched until the last shadow left the sand. Some laughed, some cried. Ethan felt the weight lift from his chest, but he knew this was not the end that night. The camp changed again. Lights stayed on, laughter echoed. Humans and aliens shared meals under open sky. The children asked questions about Earth, about oceans, about schools. Ethan answered when he could later. A child asked the hardest question. "What if they come back?" Ethan looked at the circle of humans around the fire. "Then they will see us standing together," he said, "above the planet." The observer drone recorded one last scene. Alien children sleeping without fear. Humans keeping watch. Not with weapons, but with presence for the first time. The galaxy faced a truth it could not ignore. Humans do not abandon family, and now the children were no longer alone. The galaxy did not change in one day. It changed slowly, the way deep things always do. After the council ships left, silence returned to the desert planet. But it was not the old silence of fear. It was a quiet filled with breath and waiting. The refugee camp no longer felt forgotten. Human ships remained in orbit, not as guards, but as neighbors. Supplies arrived daily, medicine, books, tools. The children watched these changes with careful eyes. Good things had never lasted before. Ethan understood that fear. He stayed close, never leaving without warning. He helped the children pack small bags, not to escape, but to prepare. Because choice had finally arrived, the Galactic Council announced new hearings. For the first time in history, alien children were invited to speak, not as data, not as problems, but as voices. The chamber was filled with light and cameras. The children stood together, hands linked. Ethan stood behind them, silent. One child stepped forward, her voice shaking but strong. "We are alive," she said. "We learn, we help." Another child spoke. "We did not choose where we were born, but we choose who we stand with." The chamber fell quiet. Council members shifted in their seats. Numbers and laws felt small in that moment. The observer drone transmitted the session across the galaxy. Millions watched. Something broke open inside the public. Empires released statements. Schools offered places. Worlds opened borders. Not all agreed, not all accepted, but enough did. New laws followed, written slowly and carefully. Mixed species children gained protected status. Guardianship across species became legal. The galaxy resisted, but it bent. Back on the desert planet, farewell day arrived. Some children chose to leave with human families. Some chose alien worlds that welcomed them. A few stayed together, forming the first shared settlement of their kind. Ethan watched each goodbye with pride and pain. He hugged every child, no matter their shape or size. "You are not lost anymore," he told them. One child stayed behind, the youngest. "Where will you go?" she asked. Ethan smiled gently. "Wherever I am needed," he said. The child nodded, satisfied. As ships lifted into the sky, the camp stood brighter than ever. Not perfect, but alive. The observer drone hovered above, its mission complete. Before departing, it transmitted one final record. Human integration model shows increased survival, stability, and growth. Recommendation: observe and learn, for a machine built to judge. It was the closest thing to respect. Years later, stories spread across the stars about alien leaders educated On Earth, about mixed species engineers solving impossible problems, about children who grew strong because one human stayed. The galaxy began to tell a new story about humans, not just warriors, not just survivors, but builders of family where none existed. Ethan never became famous. He avoided interviews. He refused titles. He only smiled when children visited him. Taller now, stronger now. They called him many things. Teacher, guardian, friend. But the word that mattered most was simple family. On a quiet evening, Ethan looked up at the stars. He knew the galaxy was still dangerous, still unfair, but it was changing because once it ignored alien children until one human made them family, and after that, the stars never looked the same again.